Oh, hello, look at that good looking chap in the window there. Okay, just about to go out on the Honda CB650R 2022 version of it. We're outside Damerells, who've let us come out on these bikes again. We haven't ridden bikes for quite a while actually. It's just been really difficult. Anyway, here we go. Look at this bike, cracker, isn't it? Not surprising. Okay, so I feel a bit cramped on this actually, I've got to be honest. CB650R, 10 litre tank. I think it's about 74 brake horsepower. On sale for, I think, 7.7 at the moment in the UK. That's November 2022. Pretty cool bike. You can be restricted down to the UK A2 licence. So Mark, the salesman, has just told us. Quite a short, stumpy bike, which means it's good for throwing it around. Trying to find the indicators then. So normally what we've found with Hondas is when they've had the obviously the different types, they've got the fared version of this. I'll start that again. They've got the fared version of this, and what they do is they tend to soften up the naked bike quite a lot, but there's no difference on this bike, on the 2022 version of it. It's exactly the same bike. No difference in tweaking the engines and everything. So obviously as a naked bike you get a lot of wind in your face, but it's actually quite nice. I'm quite enjoying this actually. Bit of a chippy day today, mind, I must admit. This is a very willing bike though, certainly wants to pull along a lot. It's one of the few days we've been able to both get out together on bikes where it's not been raining. First dry day we've had for quite a while actually, so that's why to come out and see if we can get out and look at some bikes. So quite narrow handlebars on it. Oh, I'm having an issue here. Come on Mark, sort your life out. Right, so got on it, missed a gear, pressed the horn, God, all sorts of problems. Oh, this is nice. This is quite a willing beast. I can see why people like these naked bikes. The feeling you get when you're riding them is just tremendous, you know. Wind pushing you off the back of the bike. It feels very raw. Okay, so I'm doing 60 miles an hour in fourth. So 6,000 RPM. I drop it up into fifth, goes down to about 5,000 RPM, sounds a little bit better. Oh, it's so easy to tip into corners and flip around them. I really get why people like these types of bikes. We're so privileged, Toby and I, to be able to get to try lots of different types out. It always comes down to the ballpark question is, would you buy one? Well, the answer is it's not practical for me, so the answer is no. But do I get why people have them? Absolutely. I had a tour recently where we had a couple of naked bikes on there. One was a Triumph, one was a KTM. And I've got to be honest, they were constantly looking for fuel, but the roads we were riding, they were ideal bikes for it. But then again, any bike's ideal, isn't it? So a very small screen, which you can hopefully just see. We'll talk about it when we get to the where we do our little walk arounds. It's got a rev counter on it, very small rev counter. It's got a gear indicator, speedo, tells you how many miles it's done. It's got a clock. Oh, hey, the car in front of us is kicking out some oil. Good heavens. Probably engines are not much longer for this world. All the usual standard Honda switches. The flasher, head, main beam, horn, and then on the other side you've got your stop, start, your cut off switch. Mirrors are big. Mirrors are quite good actually. For a bike that's got small handlebars, I mean, it's still, obviously our gripe is always, you know, they never put the handlebars in a position where a mirror's where you can get the best view, which is always a shame. But these isn't too bad really. Probably standard Honda mirrors. Very adjustable. Just seeing my elbow in them. Seat is comfortable. Always with these kind of bikes, I always feel like you want to be pushed up against the tank. And I always feel like my legs are being splayed out. But it is comfy. There's no luxuries on this like heated grips or anything, you know, which I still find slightly annoying. If you're selling a bike in the Northern Hemisphere, you'd expect to have heated grips on it, wouldn't you? Stop whinging, Mark. My word, I can't believe what that car just did then. And that'll be on our film. So how does it feel? Quite firm on the suspension. It's very, very flickable, which these bikes generally are, types of bikes. There's no screen, not even, some of them have a little screen that comes over the front of the dashboard. It's got nothing like that at all. So you're getting the full force of the wind here. We're not going to be able to make that, Toby, I don't think. Yep. Didn't think I would be able to make that overtake, but managed to signal my overtaking manoeuvre by using the horn. And I realise now why. On my bike the horn and the indicators are around the other way, so my go-to position, if you want, is to press where the horn is. But it's really simple, very quick on the acceleration. I mean, I'm not actually thrashing it, but I'm up into 6th here, which is some speed I wouldn't normally be riding along this road on, but it just feels like the right gear for this bike. Doing 5,000 RPM. Not thrashing it, just feels like it wants to be here. So like I say, it can be restricted to an A2 license, which is a good thing, I think. The tank on this is about 10 litres, so probably about 120 miles, something like that, depending on how you ride it. It has a pillion seat, and I've got to say that the rider's seat here now is quite comfortable. Nice ergonomics on the handlebars. They don't feel narrow. They are narrow, but they don't feel particularly narrow, if that makes sense. It's a comfortable position. The elbows are nice and flexed. They don't feel like you're holding on tight to the bike, and they also don't feel like it's an awkward position. I always find that I do feel a bit cramped on these types of bikes because of the riding position. You're obviously very far leaning forward over the top of the fuel tank, more so than you would on many other bikes, and that's just something you have to get used to, I suppose. And your feet feel like they're pushed further back and your knees feel bent. Maybe it's just because I'm not bendy, I don't know, but I don't know how it would be to ride it for any length of time. I know you can take these on tours, you can take any bike on tour. Easy to put both feet down on the ground comfortably, and it's so light to push around. I think it weighs about 200 kilos. Suspension is firm, as you would expect. Bouncing up and down on it, it feels like the suspension is very close to its limit a lot of the time on its flex. Feels like I want to change gear on it all the time to go up through the gears. Not necessarily for any particular engine revving reason. It just feels like it feels natural to change up through the gears quickly. So 60 miles an hour in 6th gear. I don't know how much further it's going to go. I wouldn't want to check that, but we're only on country lanes anyway, but I can tell it's working. Chain drive. The engine sounds nice actually. It really does sound it's got a nice sound, the exhaust on it, and I'm sure I haven't even looked at the exhaust. I'm sure it's a standard Honda one. There isn't anything tweaked about these. Has the standard Honda head indicator lights that stay lit all the time now. I'm finding 3rd and 4th seems to be the gear that it wants to work hardest in. Quite often a 4th gear on these kind of road would be a way too high a gear. You wouldn't want to pull at all, but the low down grunt on this is the low down torque is quite good. Picks up quick enough. 3rd gear seems a little bit revvy in it, so that might not be the gear for this. And here we are, our little spot. I've been here for ages. Clearly a bike this side has got a really small turning circle. But that said, it's not that small. Well, I suppose it is probably, let's say about 5.5 metre turning circle, something like that. But very nice. Still like it. Hiya. I'm on a little monster of a bike here now. I say monster, it's not a Ducati. However, it is a Honda CB650R. Ta-da!
Very smart.
It's the 2022 version of it. We did the one that was a few years ago. Now I can't remember how.
2018.
Good Lord, 2018. So this has had a few tweaks to it. What can I say about it? It's really nice. I don't go for these kinds of bikes because it's just the wind, and the wind in your hair, it disturbs all my hair. I really like this bike. A couple of issues with it, but we'll talk about those in a minute. Normally, when Honda do the CB, they've got the faired version and the unfaired version. This is clearly the unfaired version. They tweak the bike a little bit, so this isn't as raw, should we say, as powerful as the other one. I think the salesman said they usually detune it a little bit. They've left them exactly the same, which makes sense, doesn't it? So this is a really, really nice bike to ride. Really short, so it's really quick on the corners. Flick it in and out of corners is amazing. Gets up to speed really quickly. I said when I was riding it that I felt that 3rd and 4th were the 2 sweet gears on it. 4th probably the better of the gears. It just wants to pull. It's really, really nice. There's no little screen here, which I think on the one we rode in 18 had a little fairing thing there. Obviously don't need it, but it's just nice. It's a really, really nice bike. I always feel squashed on them because they're obviously, you know, longer and, you know, older, perhaps. But I didn't dislocate my hip getting on. I got used to it. You feel like your crutch is being slammed against there all the time, but the seat is really comfortable. And it's contoured. Look at that. You see, I don't know if you can see it very well, but
you can see the contour really well looking back this way.
So, people who are worried about being able to put both legs down on the ground, both feet down on the ground, I don't think are going to have a problem with that. And that probably goes for the female rider that may be worried about seat height, because I know ladies do struggle trying to find seats that they feel, bikes that they feel confident enough to put both feet down, but I think that's fine. Quite a nice pillion seat, a big pillion seat.
It's quite way back and it sort of
goes over the light. Yeah. You notice that there. I wouldn't want to ride pillion on it, but you know, it'd be very uncomfortable. I think you'd be, if you look at where the foot pegs are, your knees are going to be up round your chin. Yeah. So, you know, pillion just to get them to the shop and drop them off. Don't come back with any shopping. But you know, that's it. But look at the engine, 4-cylinder engine, absolutely gorgeous. You know, this engine has been in so many different types of bikes. The bodywork on it is really, really nice. It's just Honda, isn't it? Honda's Honda. The mirrors. Got to talk about the mirrors, because the mirrors were pretty good. However, I do wish they'd just make them perhaps a little bit bigger. I suppose there's the aesthetic of making it look, you know, a particular type of thing. But when you've got all your shoulder taking up this much of the mirror, I think it's a bit of a pain in the neck, really. Basic layout on the handlebar. You've got the stop and start, cut-off switch, and then you've got the indicators. I've got to tell you, it's one of the issues I had with the bike. Yeah. The horn is there and the indicator switch is there.
See, Honda have done this for quite a while, haven't they?
I know, but really I can't get my head around it, because I
getting a bit closer.
Went to do an overtake and indicated it by using the horn. Because most bikes...
What does the highway code say about using horn?
Just to let people know you're there.
Well, that's what you do.
It did cause confusion for me. I was like, whatever. But I found that most bikes, the horn is at the bottom underneath the indicators. Just a small thing. Does it ride well? It rides really well. Quite a solid suspension. The seat is comfortable, but firm. Yeah. But it's comfortable, you know. I was surprised by that. I did say that when I was riding it, I felt that the suspension was probably... What's the best way to describe it?
A bit wallowy?
No, not wallowy. It was like there's not much give in it necessarily. You know, you ride some bikes and the suspension, it's a firm suspension, but I don't think there's much give in it. You know,
does that make... What's the screen like?
The screen? The screen's fine. You're rushing me now, aren't you? Yeah. Keyless, keyed ignition. Pretty basic screen. However, it's got everything you need. The rev counter's quite difficult to see. There's a lot of reflection on that. Okay. You've got the gear indicator in the middle. You've got all the stuff you need: speed, miles you've done, the time, temperature, and then down the side you've got your proprietary ones. I think you've used that word before, haven't I? Proprietary. But it's all right. I did find that when we were coming through the trees before, we were riding, and it was a bit difficult to see because there's a lot of reflection off the screen. But, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? Obviously cabled clutch, you know, no hydraulics on it. It's quite a basic bike, but it's a nice bike. Doesn't the engine look smart from the front?
It does. I was just looking at the light. I like the fact that manufacturers are doing something a little bit different, and they've got that running light that's round, so we all know that something slightly different on bikes keeps people's attention when they're pulling out.
It does, yeah. I'm just going to flash it, see if that... Oh, I probably need to start it. Shall we start it?
Just smooth.
Hang on, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah. It's really, really nice sounding. And I did say while I was riding, so the noise the exhaust makes is quite nice. Yeah. And I'm not one of these believers in loud pipes save lives. I think proper training would probably save your life, but you know, I don't get this when you're riding up behind people that just annoys people. But isn't the exhaust quite sexy?
It really is.
It's look low down.
Cute being down there.
Yeah, it looks really smooth.
And it's strange, isn't it? Because the exhaust is really small and cute, and yet that hangs right over. I think there's something to do with legality, isn't there? But I would probably take that off if it was mine.
Well, we have to have them there, don't we? So this, you know, love it or love it. I don't know.
It fits in with the bike.
Yep.
But I'm kind of quite a lover of a bike that's just got this here. It looks, I mean, this is like a street type bike, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I just, that has to be there for a reason, because it has to have the number plate on it. But, you know, it is what it is. I am pleased to say that they've got the running lights. All the Hondas now have the orange running lights on them, but they don't fall in with the red braking lights like BMW do. We mention every time, because BMW, they're rubbish. It has a hugger on it. Manufacturers seem to miss out on many bikes the fact that you do get spray coming off the tyre, and you know, a good fitting hugger is going to reduce all that spray, because you get off the bike covered in garbage, you know. But it's nice.
Wheels. I like the gold in the wheels, matches the gold on the engine.
Well, I didn't notice that when I first. It was only when I was looking at it before. It's like a brushed browny,
goldy.
It's the same as the engine, isn't it?
Nice.
But it's nice. And look at this. Oh. Sideways facing thingies.
About time.
Yeah, it is. But it's a nice bike. Nice bike. I like it a lot. I couldn't buy one because it's practical applications for me don't fit, but it's really nice. Got a 10 litre tank. So it's probably what, 115, 120 miles at the most.
Yeah, it's quite strange though, isn't it? Because the GSAs have got 400 miles in the tank. You'd only do 400 miles in one stint if you really had to, wouldn't you? This has got more than enough because you can get off the coffee.
Yeah, but as I said when I was riding, I had a couple of guys on a tour I was on. One was on a KTM 690 and another one was on a Speed Triple, it might have been. And the Speed Triple was constantly looking for fuel. He had to gauge his whole day by looking for fuel when we were down his Croatia tour. That was it. Price of this, what do you reckon?
Pardon?
The price, what do you reckon?
9 grand.
Ridiculous price. 7,700 currently, November 2022. Wow. That's what it's on the road for, and that's pretty cool. I think it's a good price.
Yeah.
The good thing about this is it can be reduced for an A2 license, so it's 74 brake horsepower and they can reduce it, so people can get the experience of riding a big bike on an A2 license, and hopefully when they get their full license they go and get some proper training
and then take the limiters off.
Take the limiters off. But it's important. We keep bashing on about training, I do, because it is important. So many people are dying now, and we need to stop that. So proper training, fellas, do it.
Ladies.
And fellas, ladies, I was doing that as a collective.
Excellent.
There you go.
We are inclusive on
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else to say about it? It's got a side stand, hasn't got a centre stand, doesn't need one. You can get on and off it. It's easily put your feet down on it when you ride. It's just nice to ride.
And you need leathers on these, don't you? Wearing the stuff like we're wearing doesn't kind of fit. You need proper leathers for these, don't you?
If you want. It'd be great on it as a track bike, and then you would need your leathers, yeah. Big windy stuff like we've got on. Nice. Nissin brakes. It's just really nice. I like it. So there's not really much more to say about it, to be honest. I'm sure you can farkle it a little bit, put little bits on and pieces. There's not much more you can do, but really nice bike, good price, awesome because it's a Honda and they go forever and they're always very nice. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe to us, and we'll see you soon.